Good afternoon, everybody. We are live. Just let us know if you can see and hear us okay. Welcome to ECOM Inner Circle presents Never Mind the Buy Box with myself, Natalie Cromie, and my partner in crime, Matthew Wright.
Hi,
Hello, Matthew. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good. Sorry, someone just sent me a message just as I forgot to turn my phone on silent. But I'm just going to jump into the comments because, as we know, you can't actually see them and on the
If
StreamYard
people don't
system.
realize that you can't, it just says like Facebook user, and like we just like don't have a clue who it is unless we can use the phones. But then you
Yeah,
don't get, but then you don't get the YouTube comments on the Facebook, but you do get them on the StreamYard. It's like a juggling act trying to get the comments up.
it is. It's weird. You get them in one place, but you don't get them in the other, and then you'll get one with a name, and then you'll get another one without a name. It's like juggling about four different devices. Guys, let us know. Oh, Josh has just joined. Oh, that was a bit of a tongue twister. Josh has just joined. Hi, Josh. Hope you're well. Just let us know if you can see and hear us okay. Just waiting for a few people to jump on. Guys, give us some likes and loves because what that does, or angry faces, it's up to you. We don't mind.
Any
What
kind of engagement.
yeah, if you're feeling in a bad mood, express it via an emoji. But yeah, just give us some likes and loves if you can, because what that does is it sends out the notification just to let everybody know that we are live and we are going to be talking about all things Amazon and e-commerce. Josh says crystal clear, guys. Good. Simona's joined us. Salute is David. David's joined us as well. Good afternoon. See a few more people popping up. Doug's joined us. Hi, Doug. Hope you're well. Yeah, just let us know in the comments what's going on with you guys at the moment, because there's been a lot that's happened over the last week. A lot of major stuff on Amazon that we want to have a good old chat about. Just see how it's affecting people and what are the things you guys can do, in order to kind of, I suppose, mitigate as much as possible the changes that Amazon have gone through. So, of course, I'm talking about the big fee changes that came into place last week. And I think it was a really big wake up call for a lot of people in terms of margins being kind of slashed literally overnight, on top of everything that we've been seeing with regards to tighter margins for a lot of people anyway as well. So we'll come on and talk about that in a moment, but let me know, guys, what is going on and what's been going on since those fee increases have come into place. Is it something that you've really noticed? Is it something it's kind of sent you down to the dumps, or is it something that you see it as a good opportunity to be able to put your prices up, no excuses, and try and get some extra margin in? How are you handling it? Just let us know. I think that's the best way. I'm currently being blinded by the sun. Actually, I think I'm being blinded by your light, Matt.
It looks like I've got a mini sun. It's just the light from the warehouse.
Exactly. It looks like your light is like blinding me in my eyes. So yeah, let us know. Andre says, good thing the phone gets notifications. Thanks for joining us, Andre. Andre absolutely smashing his business at the moment. So good to see you join us. Who else has joined us? Stephen says, what's up? Hope you are well. Ben's joined us. Oh yeah, it's on YouTube. Natalie's joined us via YouTube. She's just said, I've just been made redundant. Sorry to hear that. And I'm restarting Amazon, so keen to hear what's going on. Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us, and hopefully you can see it as a little bit of an opportunity to put yourself back into control instead of being in a position where you are kind of relying on, or I suppose, the job market or something like that. So it's good to see you here, Natalie. And of course, please make sure you tune in. Like I said, we do this at 1:00 every week now, every Tuesday. That is the new time that we are doing Never Mind the Buy Box. So please feel free to join in, because we're always talking about e-com and Amazon related stuff. Oh, Natalie says she's happy. That's good. Phew.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
I think it's a false sense of security, isn't it? The job market. People think that they're safe, but unfortunately, well, I mean, at the moment, I think it's very much an employee market. So I think
Totally.
if you do get made redundant, you probably could find another job very quickly. But I think it's a false sense of security.
Yeah.
That actually, I've always had the impetus that if you run your own business, you can see when it's failing, and you can take preventative action. Whereas if you're in a company, you can see it's failing and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. I think it is an employees market at the moment. It's a candidate driven market. I can't remember when we were talking about this, whether it was on ESA or never mind the buy box last
I
week.
think it was
But I
last
know,
week. Then we were talking about
yeah, we did talk about it last week. Absolutely. It's definitely a market for driving candidates at the moment, just because of everything that's happened with the pandemic, people working from home, etc., things like that. Natalie said she's had a good amount. I think I saw on your Facebook, actually. I think it was was it a council that you worked for or something, and you've been with them for quite a long time, 15 years? So, hopefully that will give you a good amount, you've said it yourself, to be able to really attack and get started with being in control of your own destiny again. You've really got to look at it as an opportunity to be able to drive and kickstart a new opportunity for yourself. I know a few people in this position that are going to be made redundant this year, and they're really going to take the opportunity to use the time to be able to maximize it as much as possible. Yes, Natalie said I was got about a year's salaries of redundancy. Fantastic.
Good start package for that for the new business. That's the beauty of it, I suppose. Redundancy is that you get your lump sum that you can hit the ground running with.
Yeah, for sure. We look forward to seeing your progression, Natalie. And of course, we're always here if you need any help or assistance. She said, yeah, I was a commissioning manager. So yeah, exciting. It's one of those things when we talk about the comfort zone, the discomfort zone. You've very much been in the comfort zone for 15 years in your job. Now you are being forced into the discomfort zone. But I think people really, you need to kind of recognize the difference between the discomfort zone and fear, because fear is something that stops us progressing, it stops us from moving on, it stops us from taking action, whereas the discomfort zone, which can often be mistaken for fear, is something where everything grows, and if you put yourself in it, you can push yourself forward, you can make decisions that you wouldn't ordinarily do, but everything grows in the discomfort zone. Nothing grows in the comfort zone, unfortunately.
Yeah, be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, it took me a long time to recognize that feeling. It was very much a feeling of, oh my God, I'm doing the wrong thing. But then I started to realize that every time I pushed myself out of the comfort zone and I moved into this feeling of discomfort, that actually things started to happen. And but the feelings are so similar that unless you almost go back and do an after action review and look at it and say, that's how I felt at the time, and then this happened afterwards, I think a lot of people just always kind of mistake it for fear, and they think it's their gut instinct saying don't do it, when actually it's the opposite, really. So yeah, but yeah, best of luck, Natalie. She said I'm a happy feet penguin at the moment. Good.
That's good.
I was watching that with my daughter the other day. Right, let's have a look at some of these. Literally,
keep comments coming in. Yeah,
I know everyone literally commented all at once. So Matt says hi, Steve says hi, Harminder says hi, hiya. Glad you're. I love the post earlier with from the car. Pulled over to never mind the Bible. So special shout out to you, Harminder. Make sure you shout out the window, turn us up, and get the people over that were filling up their boot for sure. Johnny says, afternoon, massive change to our margins. Pretty good for MF though. So that's it. That's interesting comment. Let's have a quick look. Andre says, is this off the back of minimum quantity orders? So I'll let Johnny answer that himself. Sean's asked about that as well. I think a lot of people commenting on Johnny's comment, actually. Donna's joined us as well. Sean says, question, can Amazon sellers do minimum order quantities if the products are over £10, or is it just my company? Hopefully this will change.
So you can't do multi-quantity orders if products are over £10. Is that I'm not? I don't do quantity orders. Is that where you set a minimum quantity? Is that where there's this new thing where you can set a minimum quantity of 2 or 3?
Yeah, it's a seller fulfilled Prime offering. I don't think it's been extended out to merchant fulfilled as yet. I still believe it falls under seller fulfilled Prime. So this is when people can club together smaller amounts and the customer orders a minimum quantity. So there must be some sort of limit to it. I'm sorry, Sean, I don't know what it is. I do know that Johnny's probably one of the best people to speak about that, because it's something that he does in his business. So if he's still watching, Johnny, if you wouldn't mind popping that in a comment. Johnny's going to come on Nevermind the Buy Box hopefully in a few weeks, so we will be able to pick his brains about a few of those things. Yeah, have a big catch up with Johnny, because obviously he's moved into his warehouse, big growth within his business and lots of different things, so he's always one of our favorite guests to have on. Sean says, I can't do products if they are over £10. I'm sorry, Sean. It's something I'm just not aware of. I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's not something I do either.
He's asking if that's specific to him or not. I'm not sure. Yeah, I honestly don't know. It's something I can look into afterwards and post in the group. But yeah, I'll go back and have a look at the comments afterwards and see if I can find out. But it's not something I do. It's not something Matt does, unfortunately. So we're not aware of that, I'm afraid. New YouTube viewer, which is good. Hi there. I was really looking forward to this kind of subject with all the changes recently.
Yeah, well, plenty of changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, unfortunately, we always say that Amazon is a constant moving, living, breathing thing. It's always evolving. It's always changes that is going on. And we just seem to have been in this kind of perfect storm of cost increases. It just feels everybody, and not just small business owners, not entrepreneurs, you know, not employees, not the average person on the street. Everyone's just feels like it's, you know, it's massive battering at the moment from every kind of angle. But like we've always said, being an entrepreneur, at least you're in charge of your own destiny, you're in charge of your own fate. So I see that as a positive. But let's talk specifically about these fee increases that we knew that were happening for quite a while. They've come up.
Can't be said as surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. We knew that it was happening for a while. It happened in America a little while ago, and there was a big buzz, lots of people talking about it in America in terms of, you know, in particular, it really did affect the kind of higher volume higher volume, lower margin model. It seemed to be the one that it affected the most, and as well as the people that were selling on the small and light program as well. You know, fees almost trebled in relation to that. So it kind of killed off a lot of people's, you know, bread and butter, I suppose, overnight. And now we've seen something similar happen here. And actually, from a percentage point of view, and looking at it doesn't feel like it's a lot. But if you are somebody that is working on pound margin, you know, all of a sudden, if you've lost a third of your profit overnight without a thing, you know, nothing changes, then this is going to have a major impact on your margins. And it's not something you can just sort of like say, oh, it's not like it's algo change and let's just wait and see if anything changes. This is something that's happened. And, you know, action has to be taken. And you either have to do two things in that scenario. You either have to increase your output to get exactly back into the same position that you were in before. So if you were selling 1,000 items a month and you've lost a third, then you need to increase up to 1,333 items to be doing exactly the same as you were doing before, or you have to increase your margins. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, that's what I've always preached, is to have higher margins.
Sorry, Matt. I think someone's blowing their nose again.
No, it's the printer. It's the printer today.
It?
It's the printer, yeah. We've got the noisiest printer ever. I don't know why it makes so much noise.
Oh my God, it sounded like an elephant.
Everything sounds like an elephant here, apparently.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, just the printer.
Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, so but I would agree. You know, you've got to have good margins, and actually, for people in this space, you know, if you're a small seller, you really want to be focusing on having higher margins, because your time is your only limiting factor here. And if you can do less work, less orders for more profit and more margin, then that's how you're going to grow your business. Because the only other way to scale is to have a big, massive fulfillment operation and warehouses and staff, and that's where the high volume can work. But as we've seen, the problem with Amazon particularly, and then all businesses that work on very big volumes and low margins, is that external factors can have a very big impact on the business. And like you say, your cost goes up 20%, that's your profit gone. You're wiped out. Your whole business is done. There's nothing you can do about that. And the problem is, like we've seen, it's perfect storm. The cost of not just one element. It's not just like the cost of freight's going up, but the cost of boxes is going up. Cost of packaging materials, labour's going up this month. The minimum wage has gone up in the 1st of April. There's all these different things that are going to be increasing the costs for the business, and that's why having high margins is just so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And when something like this happens, it kind of brings margin awareness to the margin awareness. I think that's what we're going to call it from now on.
Yeah.
Margin awareness to the forefront. Johnny's made a good point. He said it's an increase to the FBA fees, of course, which was the increase that we saw recently. So not the referral fees. So that's why sort of, for himself doing the MF, the margins are better on MF than they are on FBA, because obviously the FBA has just taken a hit, whereas the MF pricing has remained exactly the same. So the margins are going to be better on that. Thanks for clarifying that, Johnny. But yeah, margin awareness, it's a good time and good opportunity to bring it up and talk about these type of things. And especially if you are someone that is relatively new to running a business, I think what can happen is you can fall into the trap and you can fall into the danger of looking at something, say, right, I buy that for £5 to sell it for £12. I pay out for this, and this, and I've made £1 profit at the end of the day, or something like that. But it's not that. How are you working it out? Are you factoring in everything? I'm actually not a big fan of these kind of softwares that give off profit kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And you think, oh, okay, that's just the profit and that's it, unless you are factoring every single cost into your cost of goods. If you've got your own warehouse, if you've got your staff, are you factoring that in? Are you factoring the cost and the time cost it takes?
Your own time is a massive one. People forget. They've like you say, they've made £5, but if you worked a job at Tesco's, you could have got £10.50.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one of those things, and this is what we're here for, in order to go through and start talking about these things, bring it forward into the highlight and, talking about it. I mean, we're not talking about, if you're making £5 that you're going to go down to zero by not factoring these costs in. Of course not. But it's a cost that people factor into their business, and especially it makes a huge difference when it comes to growth of your business, or when it comes to a period of time when you're expecting to see growth and you're looking at your cash flow and it's not quite adding up. And these things, okay, I sold 1,000 units last month, I sold them at £5 profit, so therefore I should have 5,000 in the bank or cash flow or whatever. It doesn't work like that. It's something that you need to be continually factoring all of these costs in, especially as they're increasing. So it may well be that we received a 33% increase on FBA fees, but at the end of the day, have you factored in all of the other costs? Overall, it might end up being 50%, that's been wiped off your margin overnight. So this is when you do need to sit down, think about this in your business. And like I said, there's only two options, as far as I can tell: increase your margins or increase your output.
Yeah,
unless I'm missing anything.
I was going to say, actually, it's a really interesting point here that people are talking about the merchant fulfilled, that I think it links into what you're saying about the whole cost. People look at FBA and go, right, Royal Mail's going to cost me £4.50. FBA will do it for £3. So therefore, I'm going to make £1.30 more profit. Now, there's a massive there's so many other factors that people aren't considering. For example, you've got to take the time to label that item and send it into Amazon, and there's going to be a cost in sending that in. So that's going to potentially wipe out that difference because you can send it straight to the customer. But there's also a massive cash flow cost that you're not factoring in. How much profit are you losing by potentially, you could list a product on FBM, you could sell it today, you could ship it tomorrow, and you could get paid for it. Now, if you send that to FBA, and let's say that takes a week to get there, and then it sells, and then they pay you, what's your opportunity cost of having that money back in your business? There's so many, and that's another way you can make more profit with the merchant. It's actually, yes, looking at it pounds and pence profit on a calculator, FBA makes you more money, but are you considering all the other factors in this? that actually you could be losing more money by not sending that item merchant fulfilled.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is with merchant fulfilled, obviously there is a massive time consideration for that. It's not for everybody.
No, it's not. No,
it's really not for everybody. And I think the reason why FBA works so well for a lot of people is because it is tick box exercise. You know, you do this, you send it into Amazon, they sort it out, and they do that. And FBA is actually responsible, I think, for thousands of people becoming small business owners who never would have become small business owners. And I don't think the program gets enough credit for that. You know, people who were enticed in to selling on Amazon with you know, the innovation of the FBA system, which is, I still think, phenomenal. You know, we've talked about this
slugging it off.
Oh no, absolutely. We've talked about this you know, in the past. When you sit down and think about the FBA system, it is phenomenal. And it makes you think the reason why, how good it is, that no one's managed to duplicate it. That's how good it is. And that's how innovative it is. And that's how far ahead of it, you know, Amazon is at the competition in terms of, you know, having that FBA system. Now, merchant fulfilled with Amazon is not for the faint-hearted. It's not something I would recommend people now after this fee change. And, you know, because of someone like Johnny's comment of like, well, actually, and he's absolutely right, my margins have increased on that side of it, and I haven't done anything because it's merchant fulfilled, and I do that as part of my business. So I just do a bit more of that anyway. And, you know, that could potentially help counteract the margin that could have been lost over the FBA side of things. But Johnny has a warehouse, we have a warehouse, you have a warehouse, we have staff, you know, all of these different types of things. It's not something I'd recommend you just switch off your FBA and switch on your MF and off you go, because there's lots of caveats. And, you know, something we'll be covering.
Yeah, well, that comes back to the opportunity cost again. Your opportunity cost of you packing orders is again potentially losing you money where you could be sourcing more products or making you more money. So your opportunity cost is very individual to you in your situation, your circumstances. But you should always work out what your opportunity cost is in every kind of deal you do, in every decision you make. If I do this, what will I lose by not doing this or doing something else in its place?
Well, do you know what? I actually fell off my chair last night. I was watching the news, so watching Fiona Bruce on the news, and I know some of you will be like, no, BBC News, but, you know, I just have it on the background when it ticked over to 10 o'clock. And I was actually blown away. I honestly, right, let me know in the comments. I'm curious to ask this. Don't say anything if you know, Matthew. Who knows the cost of a first class stamp? The current clock went up yesterday. I
don't actually know. I could have a guess, but I don't know.
Okay, so I'll wait and see for a few people to. I was
Googling, no looking on.
No Googling, no Googling anyone. Yeah, no Googling anyone. I was actually really shocked. I was sort of turned around and looked at Matt, and I was like, "How much?" You know, for a first class stamp. Someone's Googled it. Right.
I was going to say my guess would have been 92p. Would have been my guess.
Really?
Yeah, that's my guess for a first class stamp.
Who's put £17, Stephen? Right. Who got it right? Yeah. David said 95p.
That's good.
But someone else
not too far off the mark.
Anna put 31p. Andre 95. They all watched the news yesterday, I reckon. Someone put 31. I kid you not. I literally thought it was about 38p. That's how much I thought it was.
No, it was 60. I kind of gauged it because when I obviously used to do my own parcels for eBay. I used to pay 62p for a first class stamp, and that was like 10 years ago. So I was kind of thinking it's probably gone up to about 90p now. Yeah, 95p.
It did. It went up yesterday, and the new cost is 95p. I don't know what it was before, actually, to be fair. So there's no comparison.
Probably like 94p.
Yeah, it was probably like 93p or something like that. But my mind, 38p. It went up from 38p to 95p overnight. I'm not saying that was the true cost, but I was actually really shocked. And considering I mean, of course, I know the reason why it's gone up, the reason why it has to go up. There is still, everything in everybody needs the post, certainly at this point in life. But yeah, I was just really shocked. I couldn't believe it. And especially when you think, well, okay, well, everyone sends emails now, but I suppose obviously they don't.
No, a lot of I think, do you know what? I think until COVID as well, because my wife's company used to post all their invoices until COVID. In 2020, they used to post all their invoices out to the customers.
Yeah.
I think some people are just kind of like set in the ways a little bit, aren't they? And they like post. I think COVID's changed that though. I can't see there being much demand for stamps post COVID now.
Well, I don't know. I always used to send the Christmas cards. Matt always, whenever he was doing a bit of eBay or something at Christmas, he'd take like my 100 Christmas cards and I say, yeah, just stick a first class stamp on them. Won't be doing that this year. Definitely not 95p.
Not a pound ago, nearly a pound ago. Yeah.
Damn right. I'm going to send everyone a virtual email, an e-card now this year. Definitely. Amar says, does the price increase come with a delivery guarantee? No.
No.
That's it. Definitely not. But yeah, it went up yesterday. I was just sorry. I know that sent us off track a little bit, but I was just really shocked by that. Forget the cost of the energy cap going up 53%. I was shocked with the fact that first class stamps gone up to 95p. It just, blew my mind. Mar says, oh no, we already said that one. So Matt, do you know how much Royal Mail 24 and 48 prices are?
I don't, but I think everybody's individual, aren't they? Because you kind of negotiate your own rates.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. I did have a letter because it goes up by a set percentage. It doesn't, because everybody kind of has their own prices based on the volume, and then they all kind of go by a percentage relative. Oh, hang on, here we go. I've got an email here. So our prices on 48 has increased by 7p per parcel.
That's not
too
bad.
By very much, no.
That sounds much more reasonable than the cost of a stamp.
Yeah.
Not that I know what it's gone up from anyway. Not that I know what it's gone up from. Stephen says, Funky Pigeon those cards and schedule them in post a month early on snail mail. Absolutely. I'm more of a Moonpig girl myself, though. So, but yeah, definitely start using services like that for sure. So anyway, sorry, apologies for that. I went off on tangent. I just thought I'd bring that up because it literally, like I said, it blew my mind. So obviously going back to margin awareness. So we're talking about the things that, you can do. I mean, like I said, increase output, but that means you're going to be working probably almost 50% more to be doing exactly the same. So whilst we never condone sort of like price fixing or anything like that here, but given everything that we've been talking about, it's really important to make sure that at points like this, and even when this doesn't happen, so even if you're doing it on a quarterly basis, of having a review of your margins, having a reflection on what your margins were this quarter compared to last quarter. Have they gone down? Why have they gone down? Should you be holding your prices more? Should you be increasing your prices? Of course, I know that in the world of arbitrage, it's difficult because obviously prices are driven by supply and demand, and the more supply, therefore prices tend to go down. But there's things that you can do in order to keep an eye on that, I suppose, and limit that as much as possible. In this pricing situation at the moment, unless you are in control of the supply, i.e. wholesale, and that you can get a continual supply and of a particular good or something like that, I would say it's definitely got to come back to the rules of shallow and wide, in terms of not landing yourself in a position with too many units unless you are aware of what that supply chain can deliver. That's the way I kind of see it at the moment. Oh, someone said just put your prices up. Yeah,
put your prices up. Another thing on the pricing as well is hold your inventory. Don't cut your prices at the moment. I've been advised by a number of my key partners that basically the RRPs on items are increasing. So this, for example, I bought some headsets in December last year. We paid £22. The same product is now £28, and the RRP's gone up by £10. So don't liquidate your stock unnecessarily, because what you might find, you hold on to it to a few months and you'll be the cheapest in the market because the supply price on a lot of products is going up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, all of this has a knock-on effect. I've been seeing in the groups lately about people, especially the last couple of days, talking about buy box rotation and talking about, I'm not getting the buy box as much as possible. People are talking about it seems to be going to merchant fulfilled sellers more as opposed to FBA sellers. Well, there could be a couple of reasons for that. And we'll talk about buy box rotation for a moment. Specifically into what they're talking about, I think it's to do with the fact that obviously all of a sudden merchant fulfilled sellers have become a little bit more price competitive overnight due to the fee increases. And it's something people like Johnny, who have a massive level of merchant fulfilled in their business, are taking advantage of and have recognized and say, well, hang on a sec, all of a sudden I can probably go that little bit cheaper, have a chance of nabbing the buy box. Price is going to be one of the main driving factors about who gets the buy box and at what point they get the buy box. And if you are dealing with some big wholesale sellers that also merchant fulfill as well, then you're going to find yourself in a position where competitively you might be slightly worse off than than you were last week compared to them. So they're going to be taking advantage because they're going to be very well aware that all of a sudden their margins haven't changed, whereas yours have decreased, essentially. So that's something you just need to take into account. And that's probably why people are seeing rotation favoring merchant fulfilled. I have seen no evidence there's been an algorithm change. I've not seen any evidence of that. I think it's more down to a case of savvy wholesale driven merchant fulfilled sellers are aware that all of a sudden they're getting more bang for their buck and they can reduce their prices a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely agree. I don't know if it's a logistical issue in Amazon as well, because I know Amazon takes into account delivery times. And the problem as well with how Amazon works for FBA, most of the time you send your boxes to one location, it gets checked in and made available for sale, and then it gets distributed out to various warehouses so that they can meet the 1 day, sometimes even same day delivery commitments on Prime. While that stuff is in transit, they're not going to give you the buy box as part of the algorithm over a merchant filled seller, which will be able to ship it directly to the customer in a quicker time frame.
Absolutely. So for anyone watching, what do you guys think? Because again, I still see these all these years later, people talking about buy box rotation and things like that. And when I get back from holiday, one of the first videos I'm going to make for the new ECOM Inner Circle YouTube channel is about the buy box, because never mind we should rename it, never mind buy box rotation, because it doesn't exist. So, and it's one of these things that people still talk about, buy box rotation. And whilst I always say, as a matter of fact thing, I always say, oh, it's a myth. It is a myth, and it's not a myth. It's something that you just have to be aware of the factors that involve how the buy box is awarded, why and when it's awarded, under what kind of circumstances. So let us know in the comments, what do you think are the main driving factors? And to be perfectly honest, there are so many driving factors as how buy box is attributed that it's impossible to narrow it down to just say it's price or it's stock or it's rating or it's this. It's a massive kind of contributing factor. But there's things that you can do in order, before you purchase your goods, within your due diligence, to have a look at whether or not you've got a chance of getting the buy box, as opposed to just saying, right, there's 3 sellers sat in buy box position now, which means if I enter in that price, I'll be number 4, so that means I'm going to get 25% of sales.
No,
doesn't work like that, unfortunately. I'd like for it to work like that, but it doesn't work like that. It is not that cut and dry. But one of the most underutilized areas, and more and more people, the more we talk about these type of things, more and more people become aware of it, and less chance of people getting stung on stock that they're never going to win the buy box at a certain price to. One of the most underutilized factors on Keeper, which is the buy box statistics under the data tab. And you can really dive in deep into the data in the last 12 months about who's getting the buy box, at what time they're getting the buy box, and what percentage they're getting the buy box. And you can really look into, and if you've got one seller that's been dominating the buy box and getting a really high percentage over the last 12 months, we're not saying that you shouldn't buy that product. You just have to be aware that they're going to be very dominant in that position. And the only way that you're going to be able to nab the buy box over a seller like that in that position, if you can't compete geographically, if you can't compete on stock levels, if you can't compete on rating, all of those other contributing factors, is going to be via price, which means you have to work out, and it won't be a lot of the time a penny under, it could be a percentage under. So when you're making that buying decision, you need to work out how much potentially percentage wise that you can go down below that dominant buy box seller and still make a profit, and see whether or not it's still worth buying that item. Otherwise it's something you can find yourself in a position, you may have only have £1 profit and thinking, yeah, well, that's okay, I'll take it a penny below, I've still got 99p. Well, actually, in reality, you might only get it a 30p profit. So all of those things that you need to take into account.
I'm going to drop a massive golden nugget here as well, something that we used to do. So as well as obviously all those factors that Natalie mentioned, timing is a massive important factor. So what we used to do on certain lines, we would analyze the data on what time of day a particular item sold. We would then artificially increase our price outside of that time, and then reduce our price when the item was most popular. Therefore, we would have the buy box at the most popular time, because you might get allocated the buy box at 3 in the morning when nobody's buying your product. So you've got to all that effort to get yourself in the buy box, but no one's going to buy the product. That have to be careful, of course, from the unfair pricing strategy. So you don't want to go too high. But you can manipulate your prices so that you can drop them when you're going to get sales, so that you're in the buy box when you've got eyeballs on your listing, rather than just being in the buy box at any random time in the day. You can have a lot more success from a selling perspective.
Wow, we need to get ourselves like a bell.
That's £5,000, please, everybody. Thank you.
We need to get ourselves a bell for like a gold nugget alert. Wow, yeah, I've never heard anyone say that before, so that's really interesting. So
we don't do it as much. We used to do it all the time. We used to do it every day on everything, but because of since COVID with the price gouging, we've had to tail it back. So we manually manage it now. We used to have software that basically put our prices up at midnight until 3 in the morning when nobody was buying. So we weren't in the buy box when nobody was buying.
Yeah, absolutely, because it will have an impact. Conversion, like I said, it's so many things, and it's almost a little bit. No, I don't want to say naive, because you only know what you know at the end of the day. It's about educating yourself, being in a position to always be absorbing information. So I don't want to say it's naive. It's nothing. That's the wrong word. It's about putting yourself in a position to absorb this information as much as possible, and you taking that information and acting on it, and putting it into your business. And like I said, you only know what you know, and you only generally find out what you know or what you need to know from the people that are either doing it or have done it before, or had experience within that field. So that's why we want to share this information with as many different sellers and getting on as many different people's opinions as much as possible, because just because I say it or just because Matt says it doesn't mean it's 100% right. It doesn't mean it's 100% correct. It means it's worked for us either in the past, or it's worked for us at some point in our business. But there's always someone else's or there's always someone finding a new way to do something, and that's what I love about these type of communities and being able to share that, for sure. So, yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I'm going to do as soon as we get back from holiday, was start doing some regular content that we're uploading to the YouTube channel about these sort of things that can really make, you know, an impact. Because, like I said, if you can't compete with someone on stock, and you know, if somebody in that buy box position has been there supplying, replenishing, and servicing for a year, you ain't going to come in at a penny cheaper and get the buy box off of them in a lot of cases. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So whenever people talk about buy box rotation, please don't think it's you know, it's a fair percentage, because it's not. Don't get me wrong, there are times you'll come in, you'll go a penny under, and you get the buy box. It's as simple as that. But this is where I think probably another tip will help, is by ensuring that you're using that buy box statistic data from the data tab on Keeper, you can get a good idea whether there is a dominant seller. So this is something that is going to affect replenishables more than one-off deals. So say, for instance, all of a sudden Sainsbury's have a deal, or Tesco have a deal on their Barbie convertible. Now, unless somebody is being supplied by Mattel all year round, that's probably not going to be a replenishable item. It's a product that comes in and out of deals. So there's probably not going to be a dominant seller unless it's Amazon, or unless they have a deal with Mattel or something like that. It's probably not going to be a dominant seller on that particular item. But if you get your 6-pack of Bisto or something like that, that people can get a good supply from a grocery wholesaler, then there's a good chance that that will be a replenishable item for maybe 1, 2, 3 sellers that will constantly and continually be replenishing that item. So therefore, when you go into that buy box statistic and you can see, right, such and such person has been on the, you know, in the buy box position the highest for a year, that will give you a good indication as to it being a replenishable item, as opposed to something which is a one-off or an OA deal or something like that, because you've got more chance of getting the buy box for the one-off OA deals than you have, you know, in the replenishables. And that's when you need to pay more attention to that extra data. And if you're going in with 6 in the hope to make £1 profit on each, sometimes for the faff, it might be better off walking away from the deal. That's what I'm saying. Let's go back over the comments. Johnny said, I had a record day yesterday for this year. Most likely more to do with our output, though. Congratulations. Yeah, a lot of good figures coming in.
I was going to say, you know, I've not noticed the Ukraine war, when it started, seemed to have a massive impact on sales.
Yeah.
This cost of living crisis doesn't seem to actually have that much impact on sales. I'm putting out
not at the moment
higher sales this month than any April in the past. And considering we were in lockdown last year as well, I'm actually putting out higher sales figures this year than I was last year, which is crazy.
Yeah, we are seeing some really unusual sales at the high sales at the moment. In particular, most of everything that we sell, and this includes the private label product we sell, are nice to haves. They are not our private label product is a luxury. It is not an everyday consumable. It's not an everyday staple kind of item. So we can get, especially from the private label product, that gives us the best data of the market, because like I said, especially at the moment, you would be thinking that, and we sell in the UK and the US, so we can get a good scope across 2 major markets for most people that are selling on. You would think that having that kind of luxury item, that sales would be down on that, but absolutely not. We're seeing sales across that particular category are going up, as opposed to coming down, which is, it's very strange. You know, I was bracing for probably having a limited period of stagnated growth, because like I said, cost of living, people tend to pull back on the luxuries, but it almost seems, and again, I know you can't judge it from the conversations you have with people, but it's almost like a bit of market research. Everyone I'm sort of talking to at the moment is sort of saying, oh, everything's I'm going to treat myself. So depressing at the moment. I want to cheer myself up. And it seems to have that kind of attitude a little bit more than, oh, let's pull back and tighten our belts a bit.
Yeah, it's different kind of, I would agree. Different kind of like crisis, if we shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, in a year's time, we might all be on our asses because we're all treating ourselves.
Over treated ourselves.
Yeah, we treated ourselves. But it's one of those things, and we talked about this a few weeks ago. It's that mentality of, it's not like the 80s where you've got that generation coming out of the Second World War that when they pull in the belts and coming out of the rationing generation, we've not really experienced that. We've had recession, we've had feast and famine, of course, but a lot of the generation that are responsible for consumable purchases have never been exposed to any type of famine. It's been feast for years, so it possibly might take a little bit longer for it, but yeah, absolutely, we're not seeing any evidence.
I think as well, confidence is quite high. I think yes, prices are rising for households, and households are being squeezed, but they have confidence because they know that it's an employee market, and there's plenty of jobs out there for people. But the difference with the recession 10 years ago, in 2008, 2010, was there was a lack of jobs, and people were worried that they were worried, so they weren't spending because they were worried. Whereas now, yes, the prices are increasing, but they're confident they're going to have employment.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. People are definitely more stable in their jobs. It's it's normally with these type of things, you see unemployment kind of soar, but that's not going to happen. So hopefully in the long run, yes, inflation is continued to rise, but hopefully with a level of confidence in the job market that it will be, what do they call it? There's something they call it where it's a short, sharp kind of shock. And it can stabilize again. I can't remember. There's a specific name. I think the Bank of England call it. I can't remember. Where it's like a massive shock, and then it kind of recovers really, really quickly. So hopefully that'll be the case. But who knows? Not a financial expert, so
we shall see.
Don't work for the IMF or anything like that. So, it's just general chit chat. Sean says stock count seems to give people buy box sometimes. Absolutely, I'm noticing. We can't prove it. Might jump my inventory to 999 if it gives more buy box to test it. Probably more a case of the stock holding, but you never know. It's always worth a test. But don't get caught out thinking you've got 999 and then all of a sudden you receive 998 orders overnight.
Definitely don't do that.
Yeah, don't get caught out if you don't have the stock in hand. Like we said, Johnny said he had a record day. Congratulations. Too much money printing. Absolutely. Andre said same here. It's been 95% Easter eggs for us though. Well, Luke Roberts tagged me in the post the other day. It's true. I'm going to put it out there again. The reason why Easter eggs sell so well is because they just taste better. They absolutely taste better when they're shaped like an egg. It's like science. Yeah, they do. I say it every single year, and everyone laughs at me, but it's true. Easter eggs taste better than chocolate, so that's normal shaped chocolate. So that's why people always like. If someone offered me like a dairy milk bar or a dairy milk egg, I totally eat the egg because it tastes better. Science. Must be to do with the construction of the
maybe it's the thickness of the chocolate. Maybe
I don't know. Make for interesting reading, but they definitely taste better. There's no doubt about it.
Never mind the Easter egg.
Never mind. You can turn never mind into whatever you want. Honestly, it works with every single saying. But that does bring us on to Easter eggs and meltables. So I hate to be the one to dampen the party because we did say we talk about meltables briefly. It's not a biggie, but we're coming into that time. So I think it's a little bit, we've had margin awareness. Let's bring up meltable awareness now, where we just this time of year we start talking about meltables. It's when the sun starts shining, when it starts getting a little bit warmer. You just have to be aware of certain things within your inventory. So I'll quickly run through with regards to Meltables, if this is your first year of dealing with Meltables, what can happen? So Amazon will put out a kind of blanket statement with regards to, it's the same dates pretty much every year, about time that you can send in meltable inventory into the Amazon fulfillment centers. Of course, if you're merchant fulfilling, it doesn't affect you. Yes, possibly you might end up your customer receiving, some melted goods, but at the end of the day, it's, that's less likely to happen if they're not being held in a hot warehouse. So I think the dates are from May the 15th to September the 30th. You're not supposed to send anything in that is meltable. And there's a huge long list of what things are meltable. But, obviously the first thing people think of is chocolate, Easter egg shaped chocolate in particular. No, I'm joking. Is chocolate. That's the one thing. That's the biggest one. We've all had experience of receiving, some sort of negative feedback from a customer who have said, oh, it's melted, it's done this, it's done that. So chocolate's going to be a big one. But there's a few other things you've got to take into account, like candles, lip gloss, lip balms, anything with wax, soaps, all of these type of things that could, depending on what type of summer it gives, then it could have an impact on, potentially, I don't want to say your account health because it's not terms of service. And this is where people get confused. So it's not actually Amazon terms of service. It's more guidelines. So they call it meltable guidelines. So what they're saying is if you send them in during this period of time and we catch you, then these type of products and we catch you, then we might destroy your inventory. Now, I've been selling on Amazon for 6 years. You've been selling on Amazon for 10 years. We've been doing this show for years. We've run Facebook groups with thousands of people. I have never once heard of one person's inventory being destroyed because of meltables, as a direct result of you sending in the goods, them seeing your Thornton's chocolates and going, right, I'm destroying these. Never seen it happen. Now, I'm not saying inventory hasn't been destroyed off of the back of a voice of the customer or as a response of a negative feedback, but I've never personally seen anyone's inventory destroyed from that point of view. So it is a guideline. Now, most people will be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to send them in regardless. I don't care. And they do it every year and they get away with it and there's no issues. They're happy to take the fact that they might get a couple of negative reviews for the fact that they can continue to sell chocolate throughout the summer, because what tends to happen is prices tend to increase during the summer because people stop sending the meltable goods in. So what I always say to people is it's going to be entirely up to you, but you do have to operate on the basis of potentially worst case scenario. If you send them in during the dates and they get destroyed, you can't really moan because, that's what Amazon has said. But there is, as far as we're aware, no impact on your account health. They will just destroy your goods. You're not going to get suspended for sending in, a few bars of Snickers or something like that. It's not going to happen. So you don't have to, it's not an account issue, health issues. You don't have to worry about it from that point of view. But as a final caveat, I say to that is we live in England and a lot, we don't live in Barbados at the end of the day. So I always say to people to judge it based on the weather. I know that sounds really crazy, but until it gets up to sort of early 20s, something like that in terms of temperature, that's when you really need to start worrying about what could happen to your goods once they're in the fulfillment centers. Because, and again, people might think, 18, 90 degrees. Well, that's not too hot. But believe me, when I say the Amazon fulfillment centers are like, Lucifer's front room, they are like hotter than hell. So you can probably add 5-6 degrees on how much hotter it is outside compared to inside. So just bear that in mind. So, the way that I always say it is we certainly will still send in up to about June. Then when it gets to June, possibly that's when we might start thinking, okay, it might start getting a bit iffy now. And again, we're certainly not going to wait until October. As soon as July and August is passed, then, we're more than happy to start sending in once it starts cooling down again.
Yeah.
Ooh, sorry, I realised I
Otherwise, I was going to make a terrible pun. Otherwise, you'll see your margin melting away.
We need to get a sound effect for gold nuggets and a sound effect for bad jokes. Normally, I'm queen of bad jokes or bad puns. I'll let you have that one though, Matthew.
Well, that's at least a bell, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one of those things that it literally, it's not end of the world. It's not going to affect Easter eggs. Even if we have sometimes over Easter, we seem to have a weird, freaky kind of heat wave. Even if it happens for a couple of days, it generally cools back down again. But like I said, we don't live in Barbados. It's not something we have to worry about probably until kind of July and August. So just keep an eye on it. Just be aware of it. And, just think about maybe mixing up your inventory in the summer months if you are someone that purely deals in confectionery. If your company is called Confectionery and Candles, you might want to rethink your
I suppose you'd be okay moving into sweets though, wouldn't you? Because sweets obviously aren't meltable. That's a sort of subtle diversification there, isn't it? Chocolate in the winter, sweets in the summer. Oh, sweets are meltable as well, are they?
Yeah, any type of confectionery. So any type of gummies, any type of chewies, they're all melt. A lot of them. So it's only your hard candies or something like that that you would potentially be safe with.
Guess I've just seen a comment that says, I have UPS pick up my boxes early at 8 o'clock, but the problem is not just the distribution, because you could arrange your own temperature controlled distribution to Amazon, but it's Amazon's storage of the products is the issue. And then of course Amazon's onward shipping to the customer. They might send them out in a cardboard box on the 30 degrees in July, and then it's going to get to the customer rubbish, and then they'll end up destroying your whole inventory because they'll say they're all melted.
Yeah, the main issue is the holding in the fulfillment center. That's the issue. It's literally however long that is held within the fulfillment center, which will likely be a few days at least, then even an increase. I remember seeing an infographic on it. An increase in a certain amount of temperature can potentially melt it, and it'll get to your customer. I mean, personally, I think people should just man up. I mean, melted chocolate tastes exactly the same anyway. So I'd just be pleased to get the chocolate. I wouldn't care if it was melted or not. But yes, it does affect more things than people think it does. So something to be aware of it. We talk about it every year on Never Mind the Buy Box. And especially if there's more people, that most people are aware of it now and they know how to deal with it. But obviously, if it's your first year of selling during Meltable awareness season, then definitely it's something, just to be aware of in the future. But you can, by the way, buy thermal packaging. So you can buy these sheets of stuff that almost looks a little bit like bubble wrap. It's silver and, it's heat retardant kind of packaging. I think Kite Packaging do it.
I have seen that, yeah.
Yeah, it would be an added cost to your cost of goods. But at the end of the day, like I said, if you look at some keeper charts over the summer period for some confectionery products, you will see that the product prices really do go up and recover quite a lot. So, if you're someone that you can put in that kind of retardant packaging, you can put them in that. Absolutely. And that's what Amazon actually say within their guidelines. If you're going to send it in, but make sure you do it in sort of thermal packaging.
Yeah.
So that is an option for people as well. So if you want to continue and you want to protect yourself, then that potentially is an option as well.
Definitely.
Right, let's have a quick look. There was loads of comments there. Sorry, Andrew's joined us. Good afternoon, Andrew. He said, here at last, LOL. Absolutely. I feel I talked way too much about the Meltables, so we've got like a million comments now. So Sean said, about hyperinflation. Andrew said, I've noticed over the years that I get sales when having zero buy box. Absolutely. So there is something that you don't necessarily need to be in the buy box position to get the sales. And, you do need to be in the buy box position, but it won't really attribute as in you're not, I suppose, you are in the buy box position, but you're not. I think it's down to
you don't need to be in the buy box, because often people, and another thing, the buy box isn't always the cheapest.
No,
as well.
Oh, absolutely
no, if you go on other offers, sometimes you might get it on price because you're cheaper than the what is currently in the buy box and things. So it's not just the price.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably in that case, when you're not technically in the buy box position, you've probably been allocated sales due to like a geographical location. So they've probably picked out your inventory. They've given, like I said, it sounds like an oxymoron. It says, because, you know, you sort of like think, well, in order to get the sale, you do have to be in the buy box, and you sort of do. I don't know how Amazon work it, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I wonder if you get the sale, but they don't actually attribute any type of percentage of position to that. But yeah, absolutely. It's something that Profit Protector Pro does as well. People often talk about it with the Profit Protector Pro price repricer. All of a sudden they can find themselves in a position because of the way, a little bit, I suppose, what you were talking about, price. I'm going to use this word very carefully, and it's not what I mean, but price manipulation. It's not price manipulation, but where it tries to find that kind of sweet spot within the repricer. All of a sudden, it can put you in that buy box position when you really shouldn't be in that buy box position. You can grab some sales whilst you're in there. It does that kind of stealth, you know, sort of voodoo magic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sean says the only downside with Merchant is when Royal Mail do not send the parcel to the customer, tracking doesn't show up, and it's been delivered. They're upping up their game and doing photo tracking now. Well, it's almost a bit like photo bombing. I don't know if you guys experience it, but it drives me nuts when the guy comes and delivers at home. All of a sudden, I open the door, and you know, I'm probably wearing like PJs or loungewear or something and like no makeup or something, and all of a sudden he just goes, take a picture, like that. And I'm like, so you know, there's probably random pictures of everybody in the cloud somewhere of just looking absolutely horrendous, and I just know for a fact that if I ever like didn't receive a parcel or something like that, I don't want to log in and look at the picture, because I know it's going to be like absolutely horrendous, and I'm going to have to send that picture to someone. But yeah, they're doing that at the moment as well. They don't even give you any warning. They're just like, take a picture, and then they run off. I know, it's crazy. Andrew says my eBay sales are crazy at the moment. 75% of collectibles would like to have as well. So absolutely. So yeah, definitely seeing evidence across the board that it's people are not pulling back, you know, for some reason. I wonder what they are pulling back on though, because something's got to give.
Or is it all talk at the moment and it's not actually hit yet? Is that the thing? Because obviously price rises particularly energy bills have only just gone up, so they've not actually gone up yet for people in terms of taking the money out of people's bank accounts, kind of thing. Everyone knows they're coming.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Matt the other day. You know, we were talking about as soon as the price rises went up, obviously we are coming into summer. So therefore, we're not going to be using as much electricity, even though he's like ruined our kids' lives and already told them that we're not having the pool this year because the electricity is too much, you know, to keep it kind of heated. But, you know, as soon as everyone's kind of scared of these electricity increases, and I totally get that. I'm not making light of it. But at the same time, I don't think people are talking about the fact that we are going into summer. So naturally there will be hopefully for a lot of people the impact won't be as bad. I don't know. Who knows?
I've just seen Sean's comment.
I've got to pick up on Sean's comment. He says, how much physical work does Matt do? He does look like a proper director just sitting there. Do you know what? We were talking beforehand before we went live. I'm going to drop Matt in it here. And I was just saying, I just twinged my back the other day. I said, you know, you feel a bit low when you do your back. He said, yeah. He said, I was like packing some goods the other day and I was labeling. I was like, what? You were labeling? What happened? Did someone die? And, you know, in the warehouse and you had to step in? And I can say, well, if you got a bad back from labeling, it tells that you really don't do your packing that often.
No, I don't do any packing. No,
Yeah.
the team are all sat in the office. They're gonna, they'll vouch for that.
Absolutely.
But then it's not that. It's not that I'm like above it or anything. That's silly. It's just the case it's not good use of my time. You always want to outsource the jobs that you can easily outsource, and labeling is one of the easiest to outsource. That's why most people have a prep center. It's one of the easiest things that can be outsourced. Packing boxes is easily outsourced. My time is better spent doing other things than it is. It's not that I'm lazy and I can't pack or I can't be bothered to pack or I think I'm too important for it. It's just the case that it's not a good use of my time.
Absolutely. I am all of the above when it comes to packing, as in I'm rubbish at it. I don't want to do it. I always muck it up. So therefore, I'm not allowed to touch any of the packaging. So I'll admit to that for sure. Hayden's just joined us. Hi, Hayden. Afternoon. Dan says flash crash. I actually think that was the phrase that I was listening on. I was trying to think of, actually. I think it was flash crash, definitely. Donna says boom or bust. That's not the one I was thinking of. I do think, thank you for suggesting it. I do think it was flash crash. Johnny says, I'm with you on the Easter eggs. Damn right, they taste better. I think I've tried every single Thornton's flavor. Andre said, I'll keep some supply. And this is when we were talking about you can put never mind buy box and then think never mind the doom and gloom box. Absolutely. Try and keep it up, keep it light, keep it uplifted, of course. Harminda says, I've got a quick unrelated question. I found some toys to sell. Toys? But the toys look the same, but the packaging differs from the retailer and Amazon pictures. Is it safe to send those into Amazon? Andres commented, as long as they are exactly the same product, just maybe updated packaging. Always ask yourself the question, would it bother me if I was the buyer? So that's exactly right. When we first started selling on Amazon, it was always, oh my God, do not send it in if the packaging is like one tiny thing different. But nowadays, I think it is general consensus, as long as the product is exactly the same. So in this case with a toy, it's probably just going to be a case of updated packaging due to probably Brexit and making sure you've got the new UKCA marks on it, as opposed to I've gone out of my mind. CE mark. Yeah, I couldn't remember what they were called. CE mark. So a lot of companies will be updating their packaging to reflect the new UKCA mark, which has replaced the CE mark, which is what is needed for European standards, as in we're not as fussy. So, the new UKCA mark will also need to appear on packaging as well. So you will start seeing a lot of updated packaging. So don't be surprised with that at the moment. As long as the toy is exactly the same. The only area with toys that you need to be a little bit wary of is if it's a collectible toy or something like that, where it says, like, think of like the Funkos, where you get exactly the same Funko toy, but one of them's got like the little diamond sticker on it that says like limited edition, and maybe it's like Thor's got a slightly different hammer handle color or something like that. So you just have to be aware of those really little subtle changes, especially if it says limited edition, special edition, that type of thing. But overall, providing the product's exactly the same, it's absolutely fine. And same for anything else as well. You see it a lot in the beauty industry, you see it a lot in grocery as well, as long as the product's exactly the same. But for grocery and anything that involves any type of volume metric in the product, I always say that if it's below, say for instance, it says it's 100 grams and the new one is 90 grams. No, I wouldn't sell that, even if the product's exactly, because there's been a change in the product and packaging. But if it's like 110 grams and it said 100 grams, customer gets extra, I would send that one in. Shouldn't be any cause for complaint.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on the phone.
Oh, thanks,
Donna says, usually my feet, my fluffy slippers. That's the photography. Sean says, energy bills go up again in October. Absolutely, they do. There's no doubt about it. And that's when it will probably hit home for a lot of people, because yes, they go up again, and that's when people are going to need their electricity the most, because obviously we'll be going back into the winter. So definitely that's when people are going to see that impact the most, for sure. Matthew says, look after the pennies and the pounds look after themselves. Absolutely. That's probably in relation to the kids swimming pool comment. Natalie says, to save electricity, turn off the lights and use night vision. Definitely. Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that lately. Natalie says, if it is only if it
CE marked. I'll answer that one because I've been doing quite a bit of research on this. So the UK CA markings are only compulsory from the 1st of January 2023, so they're not compulsory yet. Now, the rule is if it can't be placed on the market if it was produced after the 1st of January. So if it's already in the country, it's already produced, it's still fine to sell going forward. But that the law and Amazon are different. I don't know if Amazon is going to start introducing mandatory requirements. I can't see it being, because there's going to be so much stuff in the country that's going to not be UKCA marked, because I mean, everything being produced now is UKCA marked, but anything that's been produced before sort of last year, which is, you know, millions and millions of items, is going to not be available for sale on Amazon. I think it'll be crazy, but the law technically states that it can't be placed on the UK market. What that does mean, if you are importing, you know, something like guide out, you will not be able to import non-UKCA products and place it on the market, because you would be classed as placing it on the market by importing it into the UK. Just something to be aware of there.
Yeah, it's all these little things. I mean, like I said, it's something that doesn't come into effect until January. We'll obviously keep people up, you know, aware. I don't see many people getting caught out by it, because any type of company, you know, of relevance. And don't forget, obviously, it's only certain products that it applies to as well, certain categories, toys being one of the biggest ones, of course. That it's going to impact on people. The only difference, but again, no, I was going to say possibly people might be affected over Q4 if they're carrying the stock over, but the stock's already in circulation. So
yeah, but it's only going to be an issue if you bring in stuff in and you're trying to clear it through customs. Because I don't think Amazon's going to know, and most customers aren't going to have a clue. So most customers aren't going to complain it's not UKCA marked. The only people that would potentially pick up on it is customs. And whether they will, I don't know. And another thing, this has already been rolled back. This was supposed to have been introduced 1st January 2022. So it's already been put back a year. So it probably just end up getting put back another year and just keep rolling on.
Yeah, got enough problems. Customs literally has got enough problems as it speaks. So Natalie says, so in theory, could send existing stock to Amazon with the CE marking, as long as it's not selling it by January 2023.
Well, no, you could probably do it afterwards. You could probably do it as long as it's been placed on the market and manufactured before that date. The issue is if it's manufactured after the 1st of January and it doesn't have the CA marking, that's where there's going to be potential issues. But again, consequences, and I don't know. It's all very new and it's all very grey. So what if there's going to be a grace period? Are they going to be strict on it? Are they just going to go like they did this year? It was supposed to be this year. They're just going to go, oh, you can have another year. Because I can't imagine that they're doing it because it potentially could create a huge environmental disaster. Can you imagine if the government said, right, anything that's not got a UKCA marking can't be sold?
Yeah.
You know, these perfectly functional products that were legal yesterday are now illegal. The environmental disaster, I just can't see it happening. There'd be absolute uproar if that got in the press. So I just think it will be very kind of gradually brought in with very little consequence for a few years, and eventually will become enforced but it will be over a period of years, by which point most of this product will be off the market anyway.
Exactly. I mean, I started noticing UKCA marks. Andre said, you know, a lot of it RA and OA items have it already. Your big supermarkets, your big retailers, it's going to be filtering through to them big manufacturers. The issues where it's going to affect is, your smaller retailers who potentially, you might purchase something from them closer or after January 2023 if they and they've been holding stock, or they've bought clearance stock. So again, clearance stock could potentially be affected and impacted by this. But what I would say is it's something, for the most part, I can't imagine. I would say 95% of people, it's not even going to impact, not even going to notice it. I mean, like I said, I've been noticing it for probably 6 months now. The stuff's already been filtering through. I did Never Mind the Buy Box around Christmas, I think, where, I showed just after Christmas, I think I showed, I think it was like 50% of the toys my daughter got, it had it on already. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a massive impact.
Another thing as well, worst case, if you did get stuck with something, CE markings are for Europe, so you could always export it back out to Europe potentially. And if you got your setup there, there's another export market. So again, it's not something that needs to be of great concern.
Absolutely. Andre says, yeah, all the dodgy ones selling last year's Easter eggs for the new days. Absolutely. A bit of expiry date fiddling there going on. Expiry date manipulation. That definitely happens there. Yeah, there's no doubt about that for sure. Right. Well, I think that's it for today, folks. Obviously, any questions, continue to post them in the group, and we will do our best to help you as much as possible. I hope you've enjoyed this afternoon's sunny lunchtime. Never mind the doom and gloom. No, I'm only joking. Never mind the buy box. Like I said, we'll be back same time next week. Be myself and Matthew again. Then I'm actually away for a couple of weeks because I'm on holiday, so I don't know what Matthew's going to be doing over that time.
Shall I ride till I go solo? Does anybody want to come on? Shall I get somebody on?
Yeah.
Anybody want to hit me up a direct message if you want to come on?
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah. I can just ride solo and we can do a Q&A, or well, the possibilities.
I know, a wealth of possibilities, absolutely. And you get a chance to speak, because I won't be here.
Get away to Edgeridge, yeah.
Exactly, definitely. Oh, there, Hayden says
yes. Hayden's right.
We
Hayden, we'll DM me, or we'll get it sorted out. You can be our first guest.
Yeah, absolutely. What's this? Fees increases, Meltables dead, Amazon dead. Absolutely. I'm not falling for that one, Andre. I've seen your figures. Right. So, just wait for this to pop up. Sean said, I think there will be a lot of clearances on the high street, especially if more people are spending online, but less people on the high street. They're discussing another COVID. Oh, no. Do you know, we nearly got through a whole session. We nearly got through the whole session without saying it, because stop people going out on the high street. But there's new lockdowns, and I've heard people talking about it more than ever at the moment. But I'm escaping. I'm going on holiday. We need a holiday. Hopefully nothing will happen before then. But yeah.
Where are you flying from?
Not Manchester or Heathrow, thankfully. Yeah, we're going from Gatwick. So yeah, I know, but something could happen. Like literally, we're going with BA. BA have cancelled like a third of their short haul flights. I don't think they've cancelled a lot of their long haul flights, but yeah, it's going to be weird, because we still have to do the COVID tests 24 hours before we go. And I didn't realize, I said to Matt yesterday or the day before, I was like, because I knew they had to be filmed, but I didn't know how they had to be filmed. So I said to Matt, he was like, right, a few days before, we can't leave the house, we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything. And I was like, oh, really? I said, surely we can just pull up an old one and do a swapsy or something like that. He's like, no, it's supervised on Zoom by a nurse who watches you do it. And you're not allowed to take them out of sight or anything like that. It's like literally, yeah, it's crazy. So I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be. But then I also heard we're flying on the 18th. But I also heard just today that they were going to scrap it on the 18th. So, and it's quite expensive. So I'll be really annoyed if I have to pay for it. And then we fly the next day. But we have to do our test on the 17th. So I will be very annoyed if that's the case. But there's always got to be a cut off somewhere, obviously. Thanks, Natalie. We're going to Florida. Who said that? Poor nurse, crappy job. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it can't be a great job. Well, I don't know. It's better than
Each to their own, isn't it?
Yeah, it's better than some things nurses have to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would have thought it might be slightly thing. Hayden says Gatwick's only 20 minutes from mine. Leave your car here if you want. Thank you for the offer, Hayden. But we are actually getting a taxi. That overnight flight on the way back is, I've done it a few times when I was younger, and I'm like dropping off at the wheel, driving back. So yeah, taxi all the way. Thank you very much, Nassi. Appreciate it.
Yeah, because you're quite far from airports, really, aren't you?
What, Bournemouth Airport's like 10 minutes down the road.
Nobody flies from Bournemouth Airport, do they?
Do you know, it's actually quite a good airport. Actually, before COVID, you could once Concorde landed there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Concorde landed at Bournemouth Airport once, but obviously it was like disbanded in about 1996 or something like that. So that proved
2003 it was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's actually before COVID, it had some nice. It used to go Portugal, Spain, all the Balearics, like a lot of the ski destinations, Madeira, Tenerife, all of those sort of places. So yeah, it's quite a good little airport actually. It's not your Gatwick or Heathrow, obviously, or Manchester, but yeah, it's quite a good airport. Southampton's pretty good as well.
Yeah, yeah, Southampton's a bit closer, isn't it? It's quite a big airport, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, Southampton does a lot of France and places like that. Yeah, so you can go to like south of France from there, which is nice. Taxi will cost a bomb. Thought Matt Cromie likes saving money. LOL. Do you know what? The cost of this holiday has literally, a speechless. Taxi cost is horrendous. You're absolutely right, Sean. It's like literally, Matt shocks me. I mean, not as much as the first class stamp, but like literally, I couldn't believe. I thought it was like 100 quid each way, something like that. I think I'm really unrealistic with prices. I think I'm like literally always talking about how unrealistic I am with prices. Yvonne says, do these sessions have a replay? Absolutely. So if you go on to the Nevermind the Buy Box YouTube channel, then the replay will be on there. So for anyone that has not been on the Nevermind the Buy Box YouTube channel, please make sure that you subscribe. We're really close, well, like 200 away, but we are really close to that all important 1,000 subscribers that any kind of YouTube guru, wants to achieve for bragging rights. So if you haven't subscribed to Nevermind the Buy Box already, please do. It just means that we know that you guys like watching the content that we put out. And once you subscribe, it also means you get a notification when we go live. So please give us some thumbs up. Please give us some comments on the YouTube channel. It all helps for sure. Parking is a fortune too. Nat's 10 suitcases. Rimmer says, how come every time I join you chat in the middle of the day? It's the new time.
The new time.
Yeah, new
and improved time.
Yeah, absolutely. Designed for entrepreneurs that sit around all day.
You don't do any packing. Yeah,
we did do it for 1 o'clock. So anyone that isn't full-time entrepreneur or working for themselves, hopefully catch us on their lunch break, or they can tune in at that point of view. But yeah, that for an hour. New time of doing nothing apart from chatting, obviously. Yeah. Subscribe. Thanks, Yvonne. Really appreciate it. But yeah, please subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. It just helps the channel. Lets us know that you guys are enjoying what we're doing. Rosie says, might be cheaper to fly to Gatwick from Bournemouth than the taxi. I think you might be right. Absolutely. Definitely would be cheaper to go on probably the train, I would have thought.
Train's expensive. Everything's expensive. In Manchester now, Manchester Airport, you have to pay to drop off. If you want to drop someone off, you have to pay £4.50.
Yeah, even Bournemouth put that one in.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, I think it's like £2, but that was probably last time I flew from Bournemouth like 4 years ago. So who knows? Right. Anyway,
back to your businesses. Yeah.
Back to business, everyone. So, guys, we'll see you next week, same time, 1 o'clock on Tuesday. Please tune in if you can. Hopefully, you all agree it's always an interesting conversation. Post any questions in the group, and we will do our best to help. And I hope everyone has a good week. See you next week, guys.
Enjoy. See you later.